Really, really sad, I think.
Well, you are joining us on Blah de Blah. We are talking about depression in sport. A number of sports we've covered already. And one question that people have always asked is, these athletes, footballers, cricketers, golfers, boxers, they perform at such a high level that pressure is at such a high level that some think it's the only way out is death. Do you think that there is a way that can be helped? Players can relieve that pressure, or
well, I think
will it always come with the territory of being at the top of the game?
Well, yeah, it will always be there. There's no question. But I think, like I was saying earlier, they know people are more aware of it now. Still not aware enough, as we're probably going to later. But they are aware of it, and they have backroom staff. They have psychiatrists, and the mental part of the game is much more looked into these days. Wouldn't you agree, Jack?
Yeah, I would agree that the mental part of the game is looked into much more. But one of the things that shocked me about that Andrew Flintoff program was the types of people who were coming forward and saying that they really struggled with depression. People like Vinnie Jones. He was the hard man of the 80s, and he said that I took a gun up to a forest near my house with the intention of shooting myself.
The trouble is, of course, that what you've just touched on there is that people who admit to depression, people go, oh, they're not tough, they're not cut out for it, and that puts a lot of people off. That's why they put on a front.
Yeah.
To dismiss the fact or ignore the fact that they've got depression, which is actually an illness.
And it's not just a problem which is focused on England. This is a problem. The NFL. 3 players have died in the past year via suicide. 3 players have committed suicide in the past year. And a renewed debate was actually started just last month regarding the NFL and over brain injuries in the sport. Now that is something that I want to go into now, and the story of Chris Benoit of the WWE, who, he was known for his diving headbutts. He was known for putting his body on the line, and Chris Benoit was somebody who, a lot called him one of the nicest guys in wrestling. That would all change in 2007 when he killed his wife and his son and then himself. Now, Christopher Nowinski, a former wrestler, set up a clinic for people who suffer concussions. Now, they did a test on Chris Benoit's brain, and his brain was of the age of an 89-year-old. Which is such a shocking for somebody who, was in their 40s. Actually, Benoit was 40 years old.
Well, I think part of the problem is with that, it was Alzheimer's, really, wasn't it? That was the cause they suggested. An 89-year-old with Alzheimer's, if something goes wrong with them and they flip out and they try and attack people, they're not going to be into that. They're going to be in such a state where they can probably just, easily stop him. But this is the trained wrestler, so it's not going to be quite as easy to stop him. I think that was
far more
the problem.
dangerous for a trained wrestler than an 89-year-old. But it seems they've looked into that in boxing as well. I believe the link between head injuries and depression.
Yeah. A quick question though. This is well, you can answer this as well, Jack. If you know, but I think Tom might. Since the incident's happened, I know they don't mention Chris Benoit at all, really. Yeah. Which I agree with. I don't think you can after that. But have they done enough behind the scenes to really, make sure this doesn't happen again?
Well, the WWE, the first point is they have literally erased him from history. They have an encyclopedia they release every year, and since 2008, his name hasn't been mentioned. In DVDs, his matches are not shown anymore. And he had some very good battles. They are not shown anymore. The WWE behind the scenes, the one thing that they have implemented in terms of concussions is getting rid of chair shots to the head. Now, I have taken a chair shot to the head, and I'll tell you one thing, it hurts. It really hurts. Now, the problem is, is the WWE are the big organisation in wrestling, but TNA Wrestling have not got, although they have limited chair shots to the head in fairness, but independent wrestlers can take 6, 7, 8 chair shots to the head each night. Now, the damage that causes over a sustained period of time is immense. And, you know, also with wrestling, there is also that desire to take, you know, wrestlers, especially on the independent circuit, some decide to take steroids. Now, steroids are not good for you. You know, they do
affect the brain and depression.
They do affect the brain, and you know there are a number of wrestlers who have died during, you know, the past few years via suicide. You know, committed suicide, and you know one of the main ones I can think of is Andrew Martin Test. He although
I'm sure he didn't commit suicide though, did he? I'm sure he wasn't it heart failure?
No, he took an overdose.
Oh, did he?
He did take an overdose. I remember listening to that. And there's one thing that, you know, we are talking about wrestling right now, and I think that the WWE seem to distance themselves from wrestlers who have died. And Andrew Martin, Umaga.
Yeah, no mention of him from what I can recall.
The most shocking one, in my opinion, was Lance Cade, who Linda McMahon's campaign was happening, and Lance Cade died sadly of a heart attack. She distanced herself entirely from him, saying that she'd never met the man. Lance Cade's father quite rightly said, "There's a photo of me, my son, and Linda McMahon, and here it is," and she had to backtrack. And I just feel that the WWE and wrestling are, you know, putting on a show that they care about these wrestlers. They're saying we're going to make sure none of these commit suicide anymore. We're going to make sure none of these get to such a point where they're depressed.
But do you think they put entertainment before welfare?
At the end of the day, I think Triple H, Paul Levesque, summed it up very well. He said, in a year, you're away from home 300 plus days a year. Your kids grow up without you. You've got wives and husbands who you will not see. And it is that feeling that these superstars, these individuals, lack, you know, a family. They don't see their family. John Cena's work schedule last year, he worked 340 days in that year, meaning he had 25 days off in a year.
Jack, how do you think that would affect his life in general?
Well, first, he'd have no time whatsoever for his family. I'm quite surprised that a doctor or something didn't say something to WWE. You know, you can't put him under this much stress. It's not good for his health. For my eyes, that is just pure greed by the WWE, and I think they're really failing to look after their.
Well, I think you hit on something there, because I think a big organisation, I should say, like that, shouldn't be relying on one person, because, like I say, not just the physical strains, but the mental strains is what we're talking about. I think one
problem though is some of these wrestlers, you know, have got 20,000 people watching them. They know that thousands, hundreds of thousands are watching them on pay-per-view. They're released from their contract, and they then go back to wrestling in front of 50 people, and it's that sudden. Jake the Snake Roberts has admitted many times he's considered suicide after leaving the WWE, after leaving that spotlight, and you know, I think that's another problem as well. Onto other sports. Which sport? We know that Jack thinks you think cricket is. Would you say cricket is the worst?
I'd say cricket is the worst, but I think that's partly because of how you have to go on worldwide tours for several months. But I think cricket has a lot of problems that need solving.
I would, I'll back Jack on that. Cricket, I'd definitely say it's the worst. Because as you pointed out, the touring schedule, especially England, if you look at their touring schedule, for over the past few months and what's coming up, they already know basically the next 2 or 3 years schedule. And it's like last year they had a 4-month Ashes tour, I think it was. It's literally a couple of weeks after that they started the World Cup. I mean, I know football's pretty similar, but at least the players have been basically in their homes and that. England were in hotels and that for 4 months.